Well, it is tax time once again. If you received a check from the state to help offset those high gas prices last year, the IRS says you will not have to pay taxes on that. That's part of the new guidance issued by the agency Friday. It does come a week after telling Americans to delay filing their taxes until it figured out whether to tax those relief payments. I spoke with an expert today, and he has some tips.
Don't use last year's tax return as your roadmap. There were a lot of tax changes. The second thing I would tell people is it's still a complicated tax year no matter who you are. A lot of big refunds that are available if you know where to look. And so, there may be some stuff that you need to be aware of. Probably a good thing to see a pro. The last thing I would tell folks is your tax return is your single largest financial transaction each and every year. It's important to know that all income is generally taxable, unless there's a specific exclusion that says it's not. For example, gifts are not taxable. Life insurance proceeds are not taxable. Some of these recent general welfare and disaster payments by the state, not taxable, but by a recent declaration by the IRS. There was a little bit of confusion on that. So when in doubt, find out. Do not just put it on your tax return because it might not be taxable, but at the same time, don't just leave it off because it might be. If you owe and you can't pay, do not ignore it until better days come later. That will compound your problem with penalties, interest, fees that you're going to have to pay some professional like me to clean it up. So if you owe, pay attention to it and seek out a pro. The second most important thing to know is the IRS is not the big bad guy that sometimes is in the sitcoms. They have many ways to pay your taxes over time, to finance it, both short term and longer term. They even have a forgiveness program if you're really in dire straits. If you file early and you're not getting a refund, that's kind of sad. But if you owe, you still don't have to pay until midnight on tax day. So if you file your tax return today with Jackson Hewitt and all of a sudden you owe $1,000, you can debit your bank account on midnight the 18th. You can write a check, you can put it on a credit card, or apply for one of those automatic funding programs that the IRS or others may have. Better to know now and make arrangements. And if you can't pay, there are things that you can do. But one of the things you can't do is just ignore it. And for goodness sake, don't extend with the plan to pay later. That's not allowed, and that creates even bigger headaches.
A lot of tips for you there. California taxpayers don't have to report their relief checks. 20 other states have that same rule.